I'm a bit of a history fan, and one of my favorite channels on YouTube is the Oversimplified YouTube channel. Now, I haven't seen, or at least I don't think I've seen, the World War I version of his Oversimplified series. It's a history channel. It's fantastic. It makes amazing videos. It was published 7 years ago, so even if I have seen this, I've completely forgotten about it. Now, I do want to say, if you like these types of videos, they just uploaded a new series that you should definitely go and check out about the Second Punic War. It's great. It's fantastic if you're a history nerd, or even if you're not, you just have like a passing interest, I would recommend you go and check it out. But this is World War I.
The world of 1914, a time of modern technology, culture, and fashion. Truly the height of civilization.
We should bring back those mustaches, by the way. The big mustaches. Also, I'm probably going to pause a lot, just so you know. We should bring back those mustaches, the really big burly ones that the German commanders used to have in World War I. Not in World War II. We don't need to bring back those mustaches. Just the First World War, okay?
Let's have a war. Everyone knew a big war was coming. France wanted some stuff back that Germany had taken from it. Germany wanted to take more of everyone's stuff, and they were building a big, sexy navy that was making the British uncomfortable.
Ooh.
These two empires thought they were really cool, but lots of different people who lived there didn't think it was so cool. And some of them had even been declaring independence with help from Russia.
God, Russia always meddling in affairs. This is back when Europe just went to war all the time. They thought war was great. They thought war was the best. They had a little bit of fun with it. And then the Second World War really put a dampener on that. They said, actually, Europe, no more. No more, please. Let's just do war on the other countries. We'll just help the other countries do a little bit of war. But, you know, World War II, that was a bit much for us, and we should probably tone back. We should just bring it back on the war now.
Everyone was talking about each other behind each other's backs, throwing the fact that military technology had come a long way since the last...
Whoa, what? What? Is this all real stuff? That's insane.
The fact
that train one? Okay, so look at this train. That's crazy. Why don't we have more military trains? Okay, to be fair, they're a bit limited in what they can do, but they look so cool, though. We should do it just for the aesthetic purposes.
Come a long way since the last major war, and suddenly everyone was pretty eager to beat each other up.
Oh, man, and the old strong men from back in the day? See, this is what we should be aiming for. All these unrealistic body expectations from bodybuilders. Now it's too much. What? Bring men like this back. Or don't, if you don't want to. I mean, femboys are cool, too, I guess.
They're up. In this area of Austria-Hungary live some Serbs and Bosnians who hated living in Austria-Hungary. So the Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand goes there for a nice drive in an open-top car with his car's route published in advance. And that went just about as well.
This is crazy how they used to do this. In fact, I think they still do this. They still kind of do this with world leaders to this day, where they're like, hey, this really important person is going to be this exact place at this exact time. If you really hate them, this is where you gotta be. I'm pretty sure. Did that happen with Kennedy when he was banged, when he was taken out? They published his route, right? So everyone just knew where he was gonna be.
Expect. Some assassins were waiting for him along the way and threw bombs at his car, but they missed and blew up some officers behind him instead. So the
that's just an issue of bad timing. They probably lit the fuse too early.
Goes into hiding, leaves Sarajevo, and the whole war never happens. Except no, the Archduke doesn't leave, but instead goes back out in the open-top car to visit the injured officers in hospital. The driver takes a wrong turn.
See, he's actually being a good leader in this situation. That's a good thing to do. Most people would be like, oh my god, someone's trying to kill me. Let's run to my little secure bunker where I can never be hurt and I can be safe forever. But he was like, hey man, we should go and check out that hospital. Driver takes a wrong turn. Oh man. And now we're in a situation.
By sheer coincidence, gets stuck beside one of the failed assassins, who shoots him.
God, it's just. I wonder what he would think if he knew that one assassination just lit a powder keg in Europe. That was most likely going to happen regardless. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back per se, but it unleashed the biggest war in history.
He's understandably pissed about all this.
Up until this point. Obviously, there was a bigger one after that.
And they think the Serbian government had something to do with it, which they might have. So they go to their ally Germany and say, hey Germany, we're going to declare war on Serbia, and Germany is all for that. So Austria-Hungary send a big list of impossible demands to Serbia, and when Serbia refuses, they declare war.
What was on the list? Like, you must give me 10 million ham sandwiches by tomorrow. If not, we're going to come and clap your cheeks. Oh, the war started. Here it comes.
And Germany are friends. And Serbia is protected by Russia, who's friends with France. So they'll...
Okay, Russia being friends with France at this point is a little... It just seems weird, right?
...on each other. Montenegro joins in too. France and Britain...
Montenegro just joins in because they're like, I mean, why not? You know, we might not do a huge amount, but we want to get involved. You know, we just want to be there. It's like when you get invited to a party with people that you don't really know, but you're super excited to go because you just want to be there and you just want to be involved.
Have a kind of alliance. So when France says, "Hey, Britain, you got my back," Britain is like,
maybe.
And then they decide to stay out of it, which is great for Germany because Germany has a plan. They know that Russia is so big and clumsy that it will take them a while to get ready for war. So with
Russia is really like a whale, isn't
this
it?
guy in charge, Germany will send all its troops into France at lightning speed while Russia's getting ready, defeat France, then move all the troops to Russia and defeat Russia, and then we all speak German and eat Patterrz every day.
Okay, to be fair, that does look pretty... That doesn't... Well, okay, I was going to try and compliment it, but you know what? It looks like it would be flavorful. I bet this is very flavorful.
Just one problem. France has loads of forts and defenses along its German border, and Germany can't waste any time fighting them, so Germany decides to go around them through Belgium.
Wait, didn't this happen in the... Oh, okay, spoilers. Sorry, spoilers for the next war. I'm pretty sure this is exactly how World War II goes too, right?
Belgium is...
And Belgium's just like, what the fuck, guys? We weren't even a part of this until now, man. What are you doing? Why? You didn't even declare war on it. What's going on, man?
But Germany wants to march 750,000 troops through it to get around France's defenses. They're hoping Belgium will just kind of sit down and shut up, but they don't. They fight back, and they're pretty...
Let's go, Belgium!
So they slow the Germans down. What's worse is that Britain shows up, and they're pretty pissed that Germany's invading neutral countries. So now Britain declares war on Germany.
Oh, Britain's pissed off that they're invading neutral countries. Oh, yes, Britain. I'm sure that would be a terrible thing to do, to just invade and attack neutral countries that haven't done a thing in the world to deserve that. Wouldn't that be terrible?
So Germany push on through Belgium and commit some atrocities along the way. They also wear spikes and sometimes skulls on the uniform. So if you're trying to not look like the bad guys, good job.
Is this where the We the Baddies thing came from?
Extravaganza, and this starts having an influence around the world, notably in America. The US President Woodrow Wilson sees himself as a bit of a Jesus figure.
And look at those glasses.
Spends most of the war trying to get everyone to just hug it out. But there's also a large population of ethnic Germans living in the United States, and when the war first broke out, they were like, yay, Germany. But now that they're committing...
Why? Just because they're at war? Like, woo, let's go! Germany's at war. Is that good?
In Belgium, they're less enthusiastic. Let's play Spot the French Soldier.
Okay. Is that him?
Did you see him?
No.
Easy, right? He's wearing a bright blue uniform with red trousers. And do you know who else spotted him easily too?
Snipers?
Germans.
Ah, yes.
So when the French were slowly marching in columns through the countryside, the Germans easily tore them to shreds with their giant guns.
And they were like, hey man, come on, I thought we were supposed to like have fun with this. I thought war was supposed to be fun. Like, we're supposed to go and we stand in a line and we play our little drums and our trumpets, and you're just blowing us up with mortars. What's up with that? You can't do that. That's against the... That's not fun. What happened to the fun wars where we could just go and have a good time? Where did those go?
The nations involved in this war went in with an old school war mentality, and all of them...
Cavalry is effective. Well, they were still using cavalry up until a very late point.
...to update their uniforms and tactics a lot during the Great War. Because this war was going to be like nothing anyone had ever seen before.
Wait, you're telling me we need head protection? But like the skull's pretty thick, so why would we need that?
Russia's ready for war, and way earlier than expected.
Ruh-roh.
Austria-Hungary, can you get on top of that? Oh yeah, sure, we've got this. Nope.
I was gonna say, Austria-Hungary did, they tried their best, and that's what matters.
Send some troops back to the east to defend against the Russians. The chief of staff of the Austro-Hungarian army is this guy, and although he is handsome, he turns out not to be...
Damn, look at that hairline! I wish I could have a hairline that brave, that bold, that good.
The best military strategist. Austria-Hungary constantly ignores Germany's advice, and then comes running back to Germany whenever they get in trouble.
Which is crazy, because Germany is like doing an all-right job at this point.
Austria-Hungary even gets its ass kicked by tiny Serbia, who repels all their invasion attempts at the start of the war. It's better news for Germany in the north, though, where they almost completely wipe out the Russian Second Army. Back on the Western Front, the Germans continue advancing and are in sight of Paris.
I like how the British are just there. They're just making an appearance. So when you pop up to a party that you didn't really want to go to, but you feel like you have to make an appearance, so you say hi, and you're like, all right, I'm going to Irish goodbye now.
At this point, anyone would be forgiven for thinking the Germans were going to get that quick victory after all. But then things start to go wrong. The French commander-in-chief knew something had to be done, and he ordered his armies to stop retreating. In the resulting battle, a gap opened up in the German lines. If a gap opens up, the enemy can use it to flank you from the side and behind. So the
It's like hammer and anvil, except there's no hammer really because there's no cavalry, but the bullets are the hammer.
German armies have to retreat. The Allies launch a counterattack, so the Germans dig into defensive positions. The Allies do the same.
And then they stay there for 4 years.
Then both sides move north, trying to outflank each other along the way. When they reach the sea, they're in a stalemate with trench systems running the whole way from the coast to Switzerland. The
Damn, Belgium got rocked.
beginning of trench warfare on the Western Front. Here's how trench warfare works.
It sucks.
Two opposing lines of trenches with no man's land in between. One side would pummel the other with hundreds of thousands of artillery shells, sometimes for days at a time.
And it would be beautiful fireworks, except very, very dangerous.
This had a huge psychological effect on the soldiers, leaving many shell-shocked. Then, the attacking troops would leave their trenches and rush across no man's land, a muddy wet mass of shell craters and barbed wire. The defending trench would unleash machine gun fire on the attackers, inflicting thousands of casualties. The attackers would send wave after wave until either they gave up or the opposing trench was finally overrun.
This is literally the Zap Brannigan meme where he's like, ah yes, I won the battle by sending wave after wave of men at them until the kill bots reach their preset kill limit and shut down. And he gets a Medal of Bravery for it. He's like, oh, you did it, you're so good at war.
There would be months of fighting and the deaths of thousands in order to gain a few meters or kilometers of land.
He moved.
Living in the trenches was hard work too. Corpses, mud that could swallow you whole, pools of poisonous water, rats, disease.
I'm pretty sure Mordor was based off of No Man's Land.
Smell. It's insane that millions of soldiers put up with these conditions and commanders ordered them to do so for years.
You think that after a couple thousand strategies, you look for a different strategy? After a couple thousand casualties, you look for a different strategy? No. If you didn't win, then you simply didn't send enough men, and then you need to send more men next time, and then you'll win. It's pretty simple. More World War I.
With both sides stuck in a hard stalemate, they knew this war wasn't going to be about taking territory, but about simply wearing each other down. The Allies had plenty of men to expend from its overseas dominions.
Don't worry, guys. We have plenty of men that we can import for the meat grinder.
And the British also started a naval blockade, so Germany couldn't import stuff, like food. Neither side really wanted a long,
Oh no, they didn't get burgled.
grueling war, though, so they both thought of ways to break the deadlock on the Western Front. Idea number one, new frontiers. When the war first broke out, Australia was quick to take German New Guinea. The Allies also...
What kind of fight? What was that? I need to know what kind of fight that was. Like, did anything actually happen there? Like, look at the German colonies. Look at this little sliver here. Poor little sliver right here. Absolutely lambasted.
quickly jumped on Germany's colonies in Africa, and particularly in German East Africa, locals were enlisted as soldiers and carriers by both sides, leading to...
It actually still blows my mind that the European countries were able to just take over so much of Africa and just like completely abuse and destroy it.
to a tragic loss of life for the native Africans. Some new combatants entered the war as well. The Allies' new friends were Italy and Japan. Japan was busy building itself an empire, so it was more than happy to take away German islands and colonies in East Asia.
The Japanese are just like, oh yeah, we'll take some. Yeah, I mean, listen, Europe's a long way away. Were there any Japanese soldiers deployed on the Western Front? I feel like there's not.
Italy actually had an alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary before the war, but after some tense relations, and then the Allies promising to give them some of Austria-Hungary's stuff,
Wow,
they switched sides. Italy
those
opened up a front
fiends.
in the mountains here, but like everyone
It is crazy to look at the map divide and who was on whose side at what time, and then look at it in World War II and see like it's completely different. That Italy and Japan are on the opposite side.
else,
It just goes to show that wars are made up and nothing is true.
they were stuck in stalemate for most of the war. The Central Powers' new friend was a struggling empire in the Middle East. The Ottomans... The Ottoman were divided on whether to actually join the war or not, since they had been exhausted by the recent Balkan Wars. Some of the politicians who did want to join went off on their own and fired some shells at Russia.
Wait, really? They're like, no, we want to do some war so bad. We want to do war so bad that we're going to go out of our way. We're just going to go off on our own little adventure. We're going to go on a side quest real quick and just bomb some random coastal town. And then we're like, oh, it looks like we have to do war now because we started. We fired the first shot.
And then came back and said, whoops, looks like we're at war now. The Ottoman
Oopsies.
entry into the war was of particular concern to the British, since the Middle East was full of oil, and Britain wanted all of that oil.
Oh, yeah, they did.
The Ottomans tried to attack Russia in the Caucasus Mountains, but they weren't prepared for the cold, and many of them froze to death. Then
Dude, what is this thing about attacking Russia without the appropriate winter garb?
They crossed miles of desert to take the Suez Canal from the British, but that failed too. Then the Allies tried to take the Dardanelles at Gallipoli in a long and hard trench warfare campaign, but that also failed.
Wasn't Gallipoli the reason that everyone hated Winston Churchill for like the longest time? Is he completely failed at Gallipoli?
The Ottomans blamed their initial losses on the ethnic Armenians living within
Oh no. Here it comes.
Ottoman territory, and the resulting Armenian genocide led to the deaths of 1.5 million people.
Which is very bad, by the way, if you're not aware. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And it did happen. It was real, and it was awful.
The Germans sent spies into Afghanistan to try to convince the Arab tribes there to rise up in jihad against the British and attack India. But that plan failed, partly because the spies got bored, brewed their own alcohol, and got drunk, which is a bad thing to do in Afghanistan.
What?
All these new frontiers hadn't done much to
That's a crazy side quest to go on.
change the war. Aware that the Allies had more men and supplies than them, the Germans knew they had to do something to break the stalemate. Before the war, there was a big conference that set out the rules of modern warfare. No chemical weapons,
no chemical weapons, no trying to kill the civilians. And but the chemical weapons are so good, though. They're so good at doing horrific damage and morale-destroying warfare. It's so good at doing terrible, terrible things, though.
Civilians. Basically, don't be jerks. The
Yes, make sure when you go to war to not be a dickhead.
Germans held a meeting and decided to be jerks. Zeppelin air raids commenced over British cities. They also started attacking the Allied trenches with chlorine gas, and they used submarines to sink civilian ships.
Oh, come on, guys.
One such civilian ship was the Lusitania, which had 159 Americans on board when it was sunk, further swaying U.S. opinion against the Germans.
Someone's about to be liberated. We're about to bring some fucking freedom down on them, Germans.
Not to be completely unfair to the Germans, the Allies also engaged in chemical warfare soon after, and they had been hiding submarine weapons on their civilian ships, which let the Germans justify their attacks. Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary still hadn't dealt with Serbia, so the Central Powers enlisted some help. Bulgaria wished it was bigger and was still bitter about losing the Second Balkan War. The Central Powers promised to make all of Bulgaria's wildest dreams come true if they helped, so they signed on, and together they knocked out Serbia.
Oh, the first Serbia finally got dicked.
Albania, which was neutral but had some ties to Austria-Hungary. So Austria-Hungary entered Albania in a friendly invasion to chase down the Serbians. We have friendly guns. They're actually water guns, and we don't have body armor. We just have really cool hoodies, and we're going to give out the really cool hoodies to everyone that surrenders immediately to our friendly invasion. Escaped by sea. It's 1916, and a lot is happening.
Oh, we skipped the Christmas truce where everyone decided, hey, war is kind of dumb. Why don't we stop doing war for like a little bit and play some football and like trade and hang out and have a good time?
As if they didn't have enough enemies already, Germany added one more to the list. Portugal
Why not?
had been getting a bit chummy with the Allies behind the scenes, and Germany didn't like that one bit.
I actually realized that Portugal has the longest standing alliance with the UK. No one has a longer standing alliance with the UK than Portugal has. It's been going since, God, how long has it been? It's been going since 1386. And is still active to this day. Wow, look at us, best friends, us in Portugal.
Around the same time, the only sea battle of the war happened. Both sides had a new powerful class of battleships called dreadnoughts, but they were so expensive to build that neither side wanted to risk losing them in a battle, so they kept them in port.
So they built them, and then they kept them as souvenirs. They put them on the wall just to look at, so they could remind themselves, oh, we're really good at this war thing. Look how good our ships are that we're never going to use.
Except for one time when they had a big fight and a bunch of them got damaged, so they didn't try that again. The UK started conscripting men to the army, so they had plenty of reserves, which is just as well because the Western Front was about to get brutal. The longest and one of the bloodiest battles of the war started when the Germans launched an attack around the French city of Verdun. The French defended it desperately, leading to hundreds of thousands of casualties. Under pressure, the French called on its allies to do something to draw the Germans' attention away, so the British started their own long and brutal fight, the Battle of the Somme, with 60,000 British casualties on just the first day.
The first day, 60,000. That is an unfathomable number. 60,000 people on the first day. Absolutely insane.
It was also here that the British first used one crazy brand new piece of sci-fi technology. The Russians...
Imagine seeing the tank coming. You're living in 1916 Europe. You've seen horses. You love horses. You've maybe seen an automobile or two, but they're not commonplace. They're not everywhere. They're quite expensive and hard to get. And then all of a sudden you hear the rumbling and the grumbling. And we're not talking about an Attack on Titan right here. We're talking about a much smaller version. And you see this turtle-like creature come over the hill, seemingly massive, with armor on all sides, just beelining towards you, with machine guns on the side, just blaring out bullets. That's going to be a morale affector, I would say.
The Russians had been getting pushed back further and further into their own territory.
Yeah, it comes to like 2 kilometers an hour. But it still comes. It's like the idea of the snail that follows you, and if it touches you, you die. Like, that actually happened. It was World War I.
But in response to the French call for help, they began a huge offensive, and did really well until they ran out of supplies and got stuck. Seeing how well the Russians had been doing, Romania decided now would be a great time to jump in and win the war. And then they got pounded. The Greeks were fighting amongst
Romania tries one thing ever.
themselves about whether to join the war or not. The king liked the Central Powers, while the Prime Minister wanted to join the Allies.
See, this just shows that it's just vibes. This whole war is just, it's fucking vibes, man. There's like, but no, these ones are like kind of cool. And the other side's like, well, and the other ones are kind of cool too. So, I don't know which one should join.
After a brief national schism, during which the country split into two, the king finally abdicated and the country reunited. With Allied help, they began a new offensive. In the Middle East, Russia was pushing into Ottoman territory from the north. The British had also made a landing in Mesopotamia to protect Persia's oil fields, and they had also sent a small
They love that oil. America really is just the British child.
army up the Tigris River to try to take Baghdad, but the army got sieged in the town of Kut along the way, and eventually surrendered. A new offensive was launched from the south with all-out desert warfare. The offensive was aided by one famous British officer, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, who helped lead the Arab tribes in a revolt that wreaked havoc on the Ottoman supply lines. By the time 1917 rolled around, everyone was exhausted.
They were realizing that war is actually not fun anymore. There used to be fun war. There's no more fun war. This is not fun war.
In the French army, the German populace was starving, and the war had drained all of Russia's supplies. There was no clear winner, and it was still anyone's war. The only question now was, who was going to break first? And the answer was Russia. Tired of not eating, and mad that a crazy magic homeless guy was calling some of the shots, there was an uprising in Petrograd,
Here we go.
complete with riots and strikes. The riot
Here it comes.
turned into a full-scale revolution, and a new government overthrew the Tsar. Then a few months later, the Bolsheviks overthrew the new government, and they pulled Russia out of the war.
Dude, Russia had a crazy time. When has Russia ever been stable? When has Russia not been either starting shit or had shit started in their own country? Is there ever been a period of history where Russia was just a nice place with no dictators, with no revolution or war or horrific things happening on a daily basis? Russia's just never had a nice time.
This was great news for Germany, who now only had to focus on the Western Front.
Now, I would say that Russia definitely has war and dictators right now. I mean, I don't know. Hey, I'm just going to throw that out there. I think that Russia is currently in a war and currently has a dictator.
But there was still one problem. The pesky United States of America was looking increasingly like it was going to join the war. America had been selling supplies to the Allies throughout the war and was getting super rich off the back of it, meaning it was in fantastic shape and was dangerous to the Germans.
They're so
Germans
big.
sent a telegram to Mexico saying, "Wouldn't it be crazy cool if you guys attacked America?" But the
Mexico? Oh no. What I can't even imagine that point of history where Mexico's like, yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea.
Showed it to the Americans, and that was the final straw. American troops began shipping out.
Here it comes.
This was terrible news for Germany, and they knew their only hope now was to force France and the UK to surrender before the fresh American troops arrived. It was now or never, so they started.
This is like a wave defense level in a video game where you just have to survive until the reinforcements come.
One final attack. They converged their troops and hit hard at the Somme and pushed the Allies back. They hit a second time further north, then again and again. With each hit, the Germans were spending more and more resources, while the Allies were getting better and better at repelling their attacks. By the fifth punch, the Allies held the line
Jova.
and even pushed back. With American troops now arriving in larger numbers, the Allies launched a counterattack, and that was it.
It's so
Central
Jova.
powers were being pushed back on all fronts. Bulgaria collapsed first, followed by the Ottoman Empire, then Austria-Hungary, and finally on November 11th, 1918, at 11 o'clock, Germany surrendered.
At 11 o'clock, they signed the treaty a lot earlier on in the day, and they just gave it like 6 hours, where the war was just like still going on, but like they'd given up, right? They'd still surrendered, and the war was still going on. Imagine being that last guy past the point where the treaty's been signed. It's gonna end. There's no point to keep fighting at that point anymore. You know, why? Just might as well not. And being the last guy to get shot and killed in a war that had already ended for literally no reason. Terrible.
At the peace treaty, Germany was forced to reduce its military, accept war guilt, and pay the bill for the war.
and that solved everything, and there was no more war ever again, and everything is completely fine. No more war. Everything is okay.
This video
and
was made possible.
oh, there's a no. Oh no. Oh no.